Okay.
All right. Good afternoon, Fresno County. Welcome to our MHSA 3-year planning hearing. This is going to be our hearing that's going to be in Hmong. I have my friend B. Lore here who will be providing the interpretation for us today. And so we're going to go ahead and get into it. If you have any questions, you can type your questions. There'll be a chance for people to ask questions. But we'll go through the slides pretty quick to allow time for people to have any questions.
Okay.
B, I think we should be ready to go into it. So I'm gonna, if you can just welcome the folks, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay. Okay. เรา现在当然是在做ตัวเรา讲的ไป看 meeting นู่นนะกูที่ Brian ไปเราไม่ใช่ฐานจะเขาว่าเอาเลยส่งตลอดนะเขาไปเขาจะ meeting แต่ไหนไปแต่เขาปีด้วยเชื่อไปว่าจะเลยจังเลย
Thank you.
Okay. Let me. I don't see the slides so.
Brian, can you put up the Hmong slides?
I can. He won't be able to see him off us. You would have to switch him onto your Zoom call.
Oh, on this one?
Yeah.
Let me see. I can get that. I just had those.
Which I don't know if I opened the Hmong version, but it's on the desktop.
So on which desktop?
Middle.
On this one?
Yeah. So you'd have to.
Sorry. Just let folks know we're just doing some technical.
Okay.
Right there.
Yeah.
And then do I need to share the screen, Brian?
For him to see it, yes.
Okay.
Off of Zoom.
Let me go here. Let me share the screen. This is screen sharing disabled.
We should be good.
Okay, there we go. And there we go.
Okay, so right now people are only seeing that slide
Okay.
off to the right.
All right, B, are you able to see the PowerPoint on our screen?
Let me check.
It should be on our Zoom screen.
The Zoom screen?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I can see now.
Perfect. All right. Let me pull up my PowerPoint. So this is one of several public hearings we're going to have this week. This first one being in Hmong, and then this afternoon we will have one in English and then one in Spanish later on this week.
จะน่าจะมีที่ว่าไปมวนนี่จะรู้วินนั่นน่ะเขาเนี่ยถ้าเธอชอบไปว่าที่สิ่งเขาเนี่ยน้ำมองอิมิจิไปหาอยู่เขาว่า English อเมริกาที่นั่น
So the public hearings are a required part of MHSA, so we have to make sure that we put the plan out for people for 30 days and give people a chance to review it and give us feedback.
เขาเนี่ยเขาว่าหรือว่า MHSA ในเลยแต่ตลอดว่าเขาเนี่ยจุ่มว่าลีเป้ช่องตัวเนี่ยมั่วใจยังตัวจะเป้เสียงละมูก็เป้าใจแล้วฮะมั่วจีแล้วฮะทราบแต่ช่วงนี้จะละมั่วใจว่าตอนนี้
Excellent. In these public hearings, we're going to address review of the community planning process, the impact of COVID-19 on our MHSA plan, and then what to expect in this plan in terms of either changes or additions.
อยากให้เขาแล้วจิตสันเขาแต่เขาโควิดจวนนั้นนี่มั่วฝั่งจวดชลิจัดตัวจะเกี่ยวได้หนุนเทียจะไปสั่งนั่นน่ะ sẽ có mua cái ba lít trà cho theo lúc học biết là tên này là lấy ô lít trà gì thế là lòng tàu thế tên nào mua cái trong một tuần đây.
And we did do 4 follow-up sessions before we started the 30-day process. And we did those in English, Spanish, and Hmong. And those are on our YouTube and Facebook if people want to go back and watch those from about a month ago.
Chỉ biếtว่าตัวเปล่าข่าวจนนั่นนะbiếtข่าวเปล่าข่าวนะchỉ biếtว่าจะที่จะทำจะได้ YouTube biếtว่าจะมองmấyที่จะเทียบจะอยากจะเนี่ยจะเนี่ยจะเขาเนี่ยมันใช้จะ YouTube เลยนี่ปอตัววันเดียวไปเขาวันเดียวเขาไปจนทั้งแต่
In that session, and we're also going to talk about it a little bit today, is that COVID-19 has caused delays in our planning, and it also had changed a little bit of how we were going to do MHSA because of receiving less money. We're going to be receiving less money because of the shutdown and the economy.
เดี๋ยวเราจะเขาว่าเขาวิกฤตจุดนั้นนี่มันเกิดจุดชวนแล้วเราเขาว่าพลางเลยว่าตอนนี้น้ำมูเลยวันนั้นบ่ายวันนั้นนะจะเนี่ยเราเขาว่าMHSA เดี๋ยวเลยว่ายามบ้าเดี๋ยวเลยว่าลิจาจะตัดสินเชื่อเราให้ยกลิจาที่เราหมู่ก็ยิ่งตัวเขาน้อยก็แต่เสร็จเดี๋ยวมันเขาวิกฤตจุดนั้นเราเลยว่าลิจาเลยที่ลิเราหมู่ว่าเกิดเท่ากันนะ
So some of the things that MHSA impacted is MHSA is based on tax revenue. And so with slow economy and people not working there, we don't have as much tax dollars coming in, which means we're not going to be able to do as many programs or services with MHSA like we wanted to.
Vì đó họ thì họ mới cho họ cảm ơn của cho nên là chỉ ở tấm ở đây tin rằng là chỉ thể hiện đâu nè là chỉ đâu nhiều bây giờ là chỉ thể hiện đâu chỉ là chỉ đâu cho nhiều là cho xem nên làm ở cho program đi cho làm bài dụng ở tận đây nó liệt họ làm bài thấu đó nè.
Thank you, B. One of the only things that we're going to have new in this plan or new monies we're getting is for innovation plans and for workforce education and training, and those are for 3 to 5 year projects only. So those are very like specific projects that we have money for that will be new.
一个圈子也靠了，我在这了每年找那些叫了每年就làm班那些，要找叫点了我叫叫好旅的也叫好旅，班的要等待那是那些可能要找里背的机上等待呢。
So some of the things that we're looking at doing is changing up our strategy a little bit. So not adding new programs, trying to look at which of our programs could, use more Medi-Cal dollars, keeping, funding where it's at just so that we don't have to, so we can try to make our programs last through the economic downturn.
这一看呢，考虑或者来怎么就谁来我哋家嚟就呢啲嚟諗功能呢，功能諗我個抄到เขารู้ใจลูกก็ได้เหมือนหน่อยวิธีเขาเลยจุ่มยันดาวหน่อยที่เราจะต้องชนเนี่ยที่เลยตัวว่าเราว่าเขาว่าลีแล้วว่าไม่เป็นสิ่งว่าตอนเลยก็ที่จะเนี่ยที่การ抄รู้ใจเนาะ
Perfect. We'll in the next slide, we'll talk also a little bit about a couple of programs that we're at the end of this year going to discontinue. And then I'll go into talking a little bit more about the couple of the new ones we said we're adding.
แต่ว่าอีกคนที่เขาว่าเลยวันนี้เขาเลยแต่ว่าอยากจะว่าเลยจะเล่นจีเชื่อแต่ยังไงจะเล่นจีเชื่อตัวจะตันได้นะใช่ยังคนเดียวแต่เขาได้จีเทียOkay.
Thanks, B. Yeah. So here we want to remind people that we have 5 parts to MHSA, and you'll see them under its PE. Well, there's 5 parts to it, and I'll go through each one and talk about what's going to be changing in each one, if anything.
Okay. Hey, Brian, could you? The Hmong translation here is a little bit hard to read. Could you just use the English one?
Yeah.
I could just translate through the English one. I think probably, and just follow what you say, because this one when I try to comprehend this one and remember what you say, it's a little bit complicated.
For sure. Give us 1 second.
Yeah.
You have to open up my email and look for the message that you sent me.
Okay, let me stop the share for a second. Give us 1 second, folks. Give me 1 second, B. We'll get that up here real quick. What I'll do, B, is put the
Yeah.
All right, our apologies. We're trying to do this virtually, so we don't get a lot of. We haven't had a chance to practice.
他这的被啊，可能他这被我是那被知道么在了么 practice 也被啊，我讲我因蹲着上面去了，但是他这。
So I'm going to go through PEI first.
其實你要諗我考 PEI one day，
So we're not adding any new programs in PEI. We are going to add some groups in the suicide prevention part of PEI.
係哋俾住我一隻話 program 接觸到看自己個 PEI，那即係話俾我一個 group nhớ到好 PEI 或一得啦撚的，自己做的。
But those groups are not going to cost any additional money. We're using the program money already for suicide prevention to do some groups.
theo ở nhớ được group đó là你要chỉ trong nhà ít họ chăn tận gì là sự cho nhà cũng được cho là một cho họ nhớ được họ program đó xin.
In PEI, well, let me go to CSS. So in CSS, we don't have new programs, but from last year to this year, we had new programs start, including a diversion and some money to support housing programs.
Hay nhớ họ CSS nó là chỉ mấy họ program chuyển gì là tức là lấy mua và ít họ cái là bắt được họ cần support được họ program cũng được.
We have a couple of CSS programs that are in the plan, but we're not starting them yet because we're waiting until things get to where we would have the money to be able to start the new program. So we're going to keep them in there, but we're not starting the new programs till the money becomes available.
แต่เราเดินบ้านแต่อีกเขาโปรแกรมเชียร์เลยแต่สิมาจิตามจะเนี่ยจะละโมเขียนจะได้ลงแต่นะจะแล้วจุ่มแล้วจุ่มเขาเชิญแต่อินดูจ้าแต่สิมาเขาเสียสนะอีกเขาว่าแล้วมาเก็บบ้านเราจะเจ๊ลอยคำแต่
And so WET, Workforce Education and Training, is one of the places we got some new money, but we have to use it for WET.
เขาแวะนะจะอีกเขาแล้วตัวอีจะเนี่ยเราคนเดียวแต่สิมาแล้วสีจิตตัวเราอย่างแล้วจะสีตัวเขาแวะก็ซื้อ
And so I'll talk about more of that in one of the new slides. And then CFTN is, we're not adding anything new. We're going to leave some money in there to finish some of the construction work that we have going on and some of the database.
อันนี้เราเขาCFTN 的了只摸一个program 签字了贴，但是嘛了只有么就念的这了么就念的好呢，这了么我和 program 的个叠着，这里好了等把签的了。
And then innovation is the other one where we're going to be doing new programs, and I'll talk about what those programs are in one of the next slides.
เขาIN 的innovation 的那些เขาเลยจะ group program 的แล้วมาลีมัวจะหล่อมาถัดเขาจะได้สไลด์ตอนนี้เนาะ
Oh, yes. B, we have a question, so I'll clarify for it if you could translate. People are asking, like, what does PEI or CSS or those things stand for? So I'll go through each one of them
Okay.
real quick. So PEI stands for Prevention and Early Intervention.
Okay. Mấy cho nên là nó thì PEI đấy ở trên là chỉ là thì khana prevention early intervention nè.
CSS stands for Community Service and Support.
CSS nè stand choเขา community services care support nè.
WET stands for Workforce Education and Training.
Họ wet nè chỉ nè hay cho họ workforce education care training đó.
And then CFTN stands for Capital Facilities Technology Needs.
Họ CFT đấy chỉ nè họ facility was a community.
Capital, like building, construction, things like that.
Okay, cho nhiều capital facility cho họ training đó nè, thì cho là cho nhiều làm part cho chỉ cho phát triển nè.
And innovation is just short for, the INN is just short for innovation.
เขาIIN nó chỉ ítเขาlưu làm được họ innovation nè.
So on the screen, you'll see the blue, what's that, a hexagon? It's a hexagon? I'm trying to remember my shape. So you see the blue shape on the screen, and it says Categorical Funding. And so that just means, even though these are all part of MHSA, they have their own rules. So like innovation, we can only spend for innovation projects, which is why we're doing some new programs with innovation, because we can't use the money for anything else.
And thìเขาnhững cái họ nó này bỏ ítเขาhas a content nè, and thì họ categorical funding đó, nên cho nhiều là tới cho nhiều là một part cho họ lựa những cái họ program nó có sự là chỉ tạo cho nhiều là cho một lý giải những cái sản đầu là nè.
And same thing with WET. We received some new grant money for WET, but it's to do some specific projects approved by the state.
Họ nhớ là WET là tí dạng cầu lý thiết là tới cho nhiều là về state là một, nhớ là họ nói chưa cho program và state cho chạy là nhớ là họ program nó sẽ chỉ tạo cho nhiều đó.
And so the programs that we're looking at or that are going to be sunsetting are programs in PEI and CSS. And well, do you want me to go on, B, or do you want?
Yeah. Okay. Cho program là chỉ là một cho nhiều là chỉ tao là bắt được sẽ là này, cho nhiều như là PI theo CSS đó.
So one program is called Integrated Mental Health Services at a Primary Care Clinic. Yeah, that's a long one.
Yeah. Ít hơn nhauเขา program đó này,เขาlà integratedเขาchỉ service nhất làเขาmental health đó.
And that one is being eliminated because it hasn't been used in over a year and a half. And the provider themselves also said they have other ways that they can fund that work if needed.
Thì còn đây là mới chạy tạo lại đó họ thì tao đi ở trong bên trong là chỉ xí nè, thì cho provider là họ thì là volunteer để cho cái là một part đó họ cho đạo sư là chỉ ta xí họ cho nhiên là họ program đó.
And so because MHSA is supposed to always be the last source of funding, since that program could, if it needed other funding, we're not using MHSA, so that program is going to end.
Vì đó họ thì là chỉ xí là cho nhiên là chỉ là mới cho là xí đâu được họ lại theo là chỉ xí cho họ program đó chứ họ program lấy mà cờ nè nhớ sau lên đó.
The next program that is going to be sunsetting, it's called Wellness Integration and Navigation Supports for Expecting Families. That's another long one too.
Yeah, chỉ ít họ program chỉ là một vấn đề là họ theo họ wellness intervention theo họ support đối cho trẻ em nè, còn đây họ là vấn đề bảo cho trẻ em.
And that's a program that never started. It was something we put in the old 3-year plan. And during that time, other programs came about that addressed it. So public health and other programs were made, so we didn't have to do this program. So we're going to eliminate it and be able to use the money elsewhere.
giờ cho họ program là mới chọn cho nó họ plan đó là tất nhiên mà lấy phương chỉ mới xí nó chỉ là nó chỉ cho nhiều là mới cho là mà chế cho họ program nó chỉ lấy mới xí cho lý giải nữa.
Another program that's going to be sunsetting is called Family Focused Prevention Services.
Ít họ cho program lấy mới cho tận đấy ít họ thì family focus là intervention
Prevention.
thế này còn đây họ lấy mới chạy tận thế cho họ thì lấy chỉ xí thế.
And that one was focused more around drugs and alcohol use.
Còn đây chỉ chọn để cho nên chỉ cho cho chạy thế chỉ để chỉ chọn nữa nè hoặc bây giờ có chọn này.
And so we're eliminating that one because over the years the providers have stopped doing it, and we're going to do that service in a different program.
Để cho họ lấy mất con cho chế vì đó họ thì cho provider đó lấy cái tao lấy đứa chỉ sĩ con đó chế lấy mất cho nhia để cho một cho lử khó program.
Well, another program that is set to sunset at the end of this year is going to be the Community Gardens project.
Thế ít khó program gì lấy mất cho chế này này, họ lấy hỗ trợ Community Garden project này, còn đây lấy chỉ xong nó ta sẽ chỉ lấy chỉ one gì lại.
And that one went through two different evaluations that found issues in terms of how the program was designed. So it's not a fault of anyone. It's so we would need to redesign it. But right now, with us not having the money, we don't have the money to redesign it at this time.
Nếu thì họ mua họ tới mình cho nhất đó họ program nó vì đó họ thì ít họ lấy cái chỉ bảo mình thì giờ họ tới mình đây giờ thì lấy chỉ mua cho nhia cho là một lấy chỉ mua cho sĩ hở thế giờ nhia cho là một chỉ đối họ chuyên gì là một kho đó này thì lấy giờ một con là cho chém một.
And so those that I just mentioned right now as far as sunsetting were all set to be PEI programs, and we're anticipating being short $4 million over the next couple of years because of COVID. So that's why we can't add or really spend money on adding new or building up PEI programs.
Thì cho program này hai ta lần này thì cho nhớ cho họ cho PEI nữa thì lấy cả chơi nhia bao nhiêu liền vậy nè thì lấy chỉ muốn cho nhia nó cho là một qua cho họ được nó chuẩn gì là chỉ còn nào là thế mới cho họ được nó cho chơi.
There's one program that we're also sunsetting, but this was a CSS program, and it's called Intensive Transition Teams.
Thì mấy cái program gì ở lấy làm một sửa chọn để họ là cái intensive các program đó còn để họ nhớ cho họ CSS này.
And that's a program that never started, and it was focused more on assisting people when they were coming out of the jail. And right now we don't have the money or resources to do that program, but we have other programs that we think are going to address that need.
Cho các program này bắt đầu cho nên hiện như họ tạo họ tao lò xem nào tạo họ tao lò giờ bắt đầu nữa còn tất cả làm cho tao lỗ qua thế còn tất cả làm nhỏ tao qua đó là cái tận thế này chỉ là mà liên chơi con nào là chúng mình nhớ rồi chỉ là mà liên chơi lì nhớ cho làm một bắt đầu content gì.
Perfect, thank you, B. So, going on to the new items, I want to talk about the 3 new programs in innovation.
Thì là chỉ cho program chiếu lấy ở tận đây là một chuyện họ sẽ bé kho program trên là chỉ nhớ được họ nhiều thả tới xin nào.
Those innovation projects are for either 3 or 5 years.
Cho project nó lấy trên là chỉ người ta muốn lấy bé một cái chỉ trong tận đây nào.
And 2 of the 3 programs are ones that were already in the last plan. We just haven't been able to get them done yet.
Chỉ một ở program nhớ được họ plan nè. Anh này lấy chỉ tao tiền là lý rồi giá ta là nè.
And more information on those 3 plans can be found on the website mhsafresno.com.
Cho nên từ sau báo cho bé học program này nó cho nên một nhớ cho họ Fresno website này là MHSA Fresno.com there.
And so I'll do very quick on each of these three programs.
thì cũng mà lý hai biến dùng gì mình chỉ cho được bé học program là sẽ nhiều đi chả
The first one is a suicide prevention follow-up call program.
Khó ý này thì khó thì suicide follow up prevention program nè.
And basically, the program will call somebody up a couple of the days after they had called the lifeline to check and see if they're okay, to see if they got connected to a counselor, if they need more help, and to really make sure that the person gets the help that they needed.
Giờ khó nói thì ý là lý tới ý tên thì hôm đó khó chơi ý là khó hotline nên là chỉ lấy tao cá này chỉ lấy tao cá follow up một số tụi nên là nửa bộ một tấm mình đi chẳng gì là nửa bộ tao muốn chua cứ khó mò là chỉ cái ba đi chẳng gì đó còn đợi còn này khó lấy follow up được không đấy.
The Justice Multi-Agency Access Point, or Justice Map, is going to be a new one as well.
Khó just multi agency access point này thì khó program chia nhớ cho họ khó là khó kiểm ba tận thế nào.
So what the Justice Map would be is we're hoping to model it on the current MAP program, but for justice involved people.
Thì khó justice map nên thì khó nhớ cho họ program tại sao nó là quan à để cho làm một part để tiến hành mỗi cho tới mình là sĩ được khó kiểm ba nào.
And part of this innovation plan is going to really be working with all the community to plan it. So not just the courts, not just the county, but also working with, churches and housing programs and everything to see what the people need and to try to develop a program to support that group.
Thì khó nói khó kiểm ba này chỉ bắt đầu là court xứ là họรู้họ county nó họ city nó xứ thì mà cái bắt đầu tăng nó cho lựa cho agency lựa cho church là lựa cho organization hoặc là mua cái ba sẽ thì cho và chế cho nên họ tao như chơi là một ba lại tới và chế tên được bỏ lại thì cái là tỷ trọng này đã chỉ tiền là mỗi cho là ba đó thôi.
And the last one is the CRDP Evolutions. And there's 3 programs in Fresno that are part of that state project that we're going to take to try to keep going.
Thì họ CRDP evolution đây này họ program một bé cái program nhất là họ Fresno nó giờ cho làใน state là cho làm đó họ là họ program cho bé trong tận đến làm gì.
So the 3 programs are the Hmong Helping Hands out of the Fresno Center.
Thì họ in đây thì họ là Hmong Helping Hand nhất họ Fresno Center nè.
The Sweet Potato Project with the West Fresno Family Resource Center.
Họ lần gì có thì họ Sweet Potato nhất họ West Fresno Center thế.
And then the last one is a program called Practicas with ICSI, who does also, which is a youth program.
Thế họ phần gì họ là Plasticas này còn này họ thì họ là hoa cho lúa cho youth program rồi cho tuần sai lúa program này.
And those programs are culturally specific programs that are going to end at the end of this year. And so what we're trying to do is use innovation as a way to keep those programs going with working with the programs to help make them fit better with MHSA.
Thì cho program này cho là hoa culture program cho nên nhất là họ cho culture tới biết cho nên là sẽ là cho tới mình để cho nó chỉ theo là tất cả cái cho nó chỉ về lấyเขาprogram lấy một trò chơi một lúc trong nó cờ lấy một trò chơi một đó chỉ mà làm mà đi chơi liệu họ cái là mà bán thôi cho họ còn là một phần gà kỳ nhất là họ MHSA này program đó nè.
Thank you, B. We're going to go to the next slide. So the next slide, we're going to talk about WET.
Họ tại tại đây bé thả cho họ wet nè.
And so WET, we received a WET grant from the state, but they required us to put some money to match it.
choเขาว่าnày cho như là về state law tức là lời có bé chủ mới cho như là một match là có chữ thọ đôi lời cho thế này cái xin bỏ lời chọn đây làm một xí này.
And so this was a good deal for us because we put $300,000 to the project, and the state gives us $600,000. So we have almost $900,000 for wet projects.
Chỉ còn có program này bé mua bé bớt xe cho làm một dự cho họ, tức là state mua lấy trâu bớt xe là chỉ thằng đó thì chỉ tới vô là như tôi vô là ít bớt tự xe này, chỉ còn này họ bé một cái cam một lấy chỉ trong tận đây nào.
And so for wet, the state gave us specific projects we could pick to do. And so these are the 3 projects that Fresno picked.
Chỉ cho nên cho state là có bé chuẩn chế sai ít khó tới giờ đó chỉ làm ổn á, chỉ cho nên cho họ Fresno County là sai thì cho nó cho lấy ổn.
One is career pathways. So that would be talking to students and kids about getting them interested in careers in behavioral health.
Chỉ ít con đó là họ career pathway nó chỉ là thà nó cho tu cần đào thiết rồi cho lâu nữa sẽ lời bồi cọt là có một cỡ ba rồi lý họ kể cho họ lựa tận đây nào.
Another one is going to be scholarships for students to go to school for careers in behavioral health, so social work, counseling, nursing, things like that.
Thì cho ít con gì là họ cho scholarship một cho tuân giải lụa là sao là một cỡ cho đó họ làm một cho tham mộ ba đôi chân này một cái như share cho nurse cho lựa chọn program đấy nhất là họ tất cả là ba đôi lúc community này để cho nhân là ba lần đấy.
And then the last one is going to be a loan repayment program. So after people finish school, if they go work for the county or some of its contractor providers, they can have some of their school loan paid back by this program.
Chỉ khai là họ loan repayment program nó cho nó khó thì giờ là ba ít tu tuần xài đưa là một cần đào rồi nó là tao là một cái tiền là tất cả là bị họ lừa này chỉแต่เขา program này ba là thể là cho nhân thì nó tất cả cho lại nè.
All right, B, we're going to go to the next slide. So the next slide is talking about next steps. One of the next steps.
Khó slide tận đây là khó thì khó step tận đây nè.
So one of the next steps is for us to have these public hearings and to make all the edits and corrections to the plan that's on our website.
Thì ít con là con lấy con đến lấy on này giờ khó thì rồi cho public hearing nữa cả là mới cho tất cả là một kho sẽ cho bé sinh tự số lý trả là hai lý trả là cho chỉ là tất cả kho rồi chỉ tất cả mới cho làm một thả đơn gì.
So what they see in the plan, we're not going to change what's in the plan after we've shared it. We're going to be just fixing typos, things like that.
Thì cho là tôi mua cho đó plan là họ nên lấy cho plan là lấy chỉ long thì xem mà là kho thì ý là lý thì lãnh đạo dụ kế bỏ thì giờ chỉ mình bị cho chỉ là kho này đó xí nè.
And then what we're going to do is all the emails or questions or comments we get today, we will write those down and then we'll write a response and those will be added to the plan too. So people's questions will be in the plan too. So it'll be part of the document.
Thế còn gì khó là mỗi cho email hoặc cho tin xa tôi rồi nè. Thế cho nên là một sĩ thải cho nên mỗi cho chỉ gì đó là cho là tất cả cho là so rồi cho là mỗi cho là sau ok thì còn là mỗi tất cả là mình chờ cho họ plan cho gì cho còn là có ý post nữa.
People can submit questions or comments up to the end of the week, but at the end of the week we're closing the public comment.
Thì tin rằng là xa là cái tới số là bỏ trong lý trả là xa tàu tôm mù vấn đề thầu lúc weekend nè tất cả lúc weekend là chỉ lấy một cơ là chỉ lấy chỉ bù nên sao ở trên gì đâu là.
And then the final plan will go to the Fresno County Board of Supervisors to approve, and then it'll go to the state.
Chỉ khó cần là chỉ là mà lấy một cho họ Fresno Supervisor nên là mà lấy là cho là một sai sửa sẽ là bỏ trong chỉ là chỉ bỏ trong tất cả là chỉ là mà mới sao mà được state là một cho họ là mà là một nhà là ban.
All right. And then the last one is if people have, they're able to put comments in the Facebook or YouTube chat, we'll copy those and put those into the plan, and then we'll provide a response in there. And then if people have other questions or things that they needed to submit, they're able to either email them to that email that's on the screen, MHSA@FresnoCountyCA.gov.
thì cho bây giờ là mua phẳng là mua tự xua nhân cho họ qua Facebook là họ YouTube này nè thế là mua cho nên cho là mua hay là cho question thế là cho comment là mua sau đó họ ta thế thì họ mua đã chuyện gì là cũng mua phẳng email tới một chỗ họ email được họ MHSA@FresnoCountyCA.gov nó còn nó có email này sang để cho comment tới một chỗ lại.
And then if they go to the website right there, the www.mhsafresno.com, they'll also find comment cards and the email and some of the info there too if they want to use those to provide any feedback.
Dạ thì lên thì sao mua ít có feedback nên sao mua查做理解子那老年间我们好 website 的www.mhsafresno.com 那这里每就看你好这里每收到可能这里每就到那好这来马里每就那就老母晒马里每知道了好 plan.
And then we're checking the YouTube and those things to see if there's any just general questions. We see some comments that we'll provide written responses to. I see there was a question as far as where to submit the info, which we just put the email on the screen. Do you have the Facebook one going?
Facebook's not right.
Okay, the Facebook one, the link didn't work alone. So we'll give it another moment or two be that way if people have any questions. But yeah, if they use the email, they'll send the email. We'll write down their question and we will put the response in the plan. We'll make sure that it is addressed the best we can.
Yeah, lại tạo tiếp theo sẽ là bộ môn thứ họ môn lùn nữa chỉ là bọn chỉ trả lùn chỉ tôi cho nhất cho họ Facebook theo YouTube là họ cho họ email nữa là mình chỉ cho họ plan đấy.
And there is a hearing this afternoon at 2:30 on the same YouTube and Facebook. That will be in English in case other people wanted to see it. But this one on YouTube will stay. So if people want to go back and watch it later, they still have a couple of days to go back and watch it and submit any comments.
Nó thọ ông biết trong đó là có mấy khó session thế nè thì thì cái này khó yêu Olympica thì này họ xã làm một công cho họ đó là nên là công tàu họ tiếc họ nói là mới sau để mới trò chuyện trên nhất họ online nên xã mới sai là tàu.
Make it full screen. The Zoom call, make it full screen. Okay.
All right. We'll give it another minute be just to make sure that people had a chance.
Okay.
I think those are for you, Brian.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
saying that the website was incorrect. It's FresnoMHSA.com.
The flyer needed to be fixed?
I'm not sure if it was the flyer.
What did she say she wants me to call out?
The website on the slide was incorrect. So the actual website to go to is FresnoMHSA.com. And she just wants you to say it out loud. And have them say it.
I just want to make sure that everyone got the website. So we did put it in the YouTube chat, the www.fresnomhsa.com, I think on the flyer or the slide, one of them had a typo. So, the slide. So if for the website, if they want the info, it's www.fresnomhsa.com, and it's on the chat in there.
อันนี้เดี๋ยวเขาบอกแล้วว่าจะได้ fly นั่นนี่อยู่แก่นั่นน่ะจีเยอะเลยเดี๋ยวนี่สามารถจะนี่จุso www.fresno fresno
Fix it on the one we'll post for this
s นะ.com ได้เนาะเขา YouTube เนาะ
There's some more comments in there, so we'll make sure to keep all those comments. If you can thank the people who are participating, listening in today, I appreciate them taking the time and hearing this and giving us their feedback and concerns and things that we can look at.
trong sau này sẽ được cho tôi cho nên là một cùng lúc nào này đặc biệt là theo cho nên cho feedback của này cho lùa tại số này đặc biệt là bên bọn đời bên mà liền muốn cho lùa này cho làm một sau chế bên mà liền muốn gì đó có plan đấy nè.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're taking questions and comments to the end of the week, so people can reach out to us. That MHSA at fresnoca.gov is the email that they can send us any questions. So if they have some additional ideas, things like that they can submit there. I do see there's one last question. I'll let you go ahead and speak
Okay.
quickly.
Thì tất cả đối tượng gì thì nên sẽ đợi mua lù餐gì đi cha là họ tiêu là họ hay chỉ cho nên họ chỉ bảo trong lại nên xã họ có là call là tin đó là nên mua phần isa email đó là tôi tự email bắt tay này tới hay nhất đó họ đó là nè cái lù vina thâu lù vina chỉ là chỉ giải lá nên chủ cái lù vina cơ chỉ có tiệt đó không ta.
I see there was one last question in there, and it was how will these new changes affect programs and anything they're talking about the gardens. So we are having an evaluator that has come in and is evaluating 12 of our PEI programs, and we're looking at what programs are working, what programs need to be changed, and then what programs do we need to leverage the work with other programs because of the impact of COVID, so that we can try to keep services available for people. So it's a process that we started before COVID and we've continued during COVID, which is really looking at every one of our programs. We're starting with PEI, but we're going to be looking at all the county programs eventually and see what programs need to be changed and to make them be able to work better, longer, things like that.
每ตัวหนึ่งไล่ทักษิณ每ตัวหนึ่งไล่จะเขาเดียวว่าเต้นป้อนในในโรงเรียนน่ะที่จะวิจารณ์ป้อนเต้นนั่นน่ะแล้วเขาnói là mấyตัวnày cònตัวชั้นđầuตัวนะหรือตัวมืออีว่าอยู่ตั้งแต่เราจะโปรแกรมก่อเขาโปรแกรมอยู่ที่ Fresno County นะเจนเราไปช่วยเขาโปรแกรมตื่นว่าเราต้องลิจาเขาตื่นจีเนี่ยเราเคยเช่เขาตื่นเรามั่วเขาน่าจะหมุนจีตัวหรือเขาหรือเขาหลังตื่นเราเข้าว่าตัวจอโปรแกรมนั่นแหละนะเจนแล้วเขาน่าจะเขาเราจุว่าเนี่ยตัวเขานะเมื่อจะโปรแกรมเจเรียกว่าอีจันเราใช้ซึ่งจันแต่เขาgarden project นั่นแหละเดี๋ยวเขาน่าจะอีเขาว่าเลยตื่นเราหมู่ใช้จุดเขาน่าจะเดี๋ยวนี้มั่วแต่เหมือนเนี่ยเราเขามันจีเลยที่เจแต่ว่าเราจุวันจีนั่นนะ
All right. Again, I appreciate everyone taking the time, providing the feedback. We, like I said, will include all the comments we receive in the comment section of the plan, so that will be documented as well. And then, like I said, there's another session this afternoon and in English, and then there'll be a Spanish one on Friday. But with that said, we're almost at the end of our planned time, so we're going to go ahead and be logging off here in a minute or so.
Okay. เจ้าเลยให้ได้ด้วยมันนู่นถอมองแต่ไม่เขาว่าsession จีขนาดเรามีการนะที่นู่น Friday ตอนนี้เราไม่เขาว่าเขาจะขอ Spanish เจ thì gia đình thêm một lần nữa chỉ nên sát sản gì là nên sau tôi được khai tôi được là bao là mà lấy mua chỉ được call hơi thì public comment nè là muốn cho được plan đó bây giờ theo lúc nào là chỉ lấy chịu lại nè.
One more question on there.
Yeah, there was actually 2 evaluations done. One that was completed, which we can make available. That was done by Fresno Metro Ministries about 2 years ago. And then the current one with RAND, we will get there in our final recommendation, final report, the info on that. But the evaluation criteria is actually looking at do programs meet specifically PEI regulations? And so we can provide that information on the specific PEI regulations that the programs need to adhere to and have outcomes that match those specific outcome requirements.
Thì lấy hai tuần được họ thì là tôi evaluation lý chả là tôi mua khó là tôi mua khó evaluation ta là nè thì là một số cho thì cho program nên để bộ họ được bộ trợ lý khó là khó và plan là hai nữa bộ mua đấy chỉ cho như là họ là chỉ mua nè thì giờ là mà lấy mua khó evaluation nó cho là qua cái lần thứ sắp bao là nên là mình sửa tao nè.
Yeah, so we'll put in the chat the link for the PEI regs. And then we also will, I don't think we have it posted on the website, but we can make the first evaluation available as a PDF. And then once the RAND report is complete, we will be able to provide that as well.
Giờ là mà lấy mua khó evaluation nó cho là mua được PDF nè, là mà mua share cho để nên mà lấy mua sai tao họ cơ tất cả nó cho họ nên chỉ tao tiếc chỉ là thứ tiếc là mà nó quan tiếc lên đây cái này lần thứ sáu lần nên là sai tao thế nào.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, B, my friend. Good seeing you again.
You're
talking
welcome.
to you.
Yeah, me too.
And all right, everyone. Thank you
Okay.
all again for your time.
Okay, xin chào đại gia, nhớ rằng này.